Well, welcome everyone. I think we're live, so I'm gonna introduce our event and just start by saying good evening and happy Hanukkah. Thank you for joining us for our first ever Jewish-Uyghur Hannukah candle lighting. My name is Mia and I'm the director of Rene Cassin, the Jewish Voice for Human Rights. We work to remake the case for human rights, drawing on Jewish values and Jewish experience. This weekend is Human Rights Shabbat. It was designed by Rene Cassin to support the Jewish community in marking International Human Rights Day, when the Universal Declaration of Human Rights was signed on the 10th of December. The 10th of December this year was also the first candle of the Jewish festival of Hanukkah. When the ancient Greek Empire invaded the land of Israel in 164 BC, with the intent of destroying the Jewish people, the Jewish religion, and Jewish culture, there was no safety net of basic ethical norms that would set out how human beings should treat each other. Nor was there a safety net 2 millennia later, when Nazi Germany invaded much of Europe with the intent to conquer and along the way also destroy entire groups, especially the Jews. It was the enormity of the atrocities of the Holocaust and the genocide of Europe's Jewish people that finally acted as an ethical wake-up call. Humanity needed a safety net so that states and humans could not be allowed to continue to arbitrarily marginalize, discriminate, torture, and destroy each other. Our namesake, Monsieur Rene Cassin, who co-drafted the declaration, was one of many Jews involved in establishing a post-war framework to ensure the horror of the Jewish experience of the Holocaust would never again be repeated. Sadly, never again has since happened again. In Rwanda, in Bosnia, in Cambodia, and is happening now to the Muslim Uyghurs in China, who are forced to deny their religion and culture in concentration camps set up by the Chinese government. As survivors of persecution, from the attempted genocide of our Hanukkah story to the Holocaust, and as speakers by experience who understand the need for empathy and solidarity, the Jewish community has a uniquely authoritative voice in speaking out against the persecution of others. But this evening is not about that. It's not just about speaking out. Tonight is about celebrating friendship and the shared significance of our cultures, our religions, our traditions, and the significance they have in defining who we are as people. I'm therefore really delighted to have with me this evening members of both the Jewish and Uyghur communities from around the world, including the US, Germany, Belgium, and from here in the UK, coming together for a joint celebration of light and hope. So joining us this evening are 𝐷𝐚𝐬𝐿, President of the World Uyghur Congress, who together with 𝐉𝐞𝐰𝐢𝐬𝐡, President of the European Union of Jewish Students, will light the first candle of Hanukkah. Rahima Mahmood, from the World Uyghur Congress UK office and co-founder of the Stop Uyghur Genocide campaign, will be joined by Edwin Shuker, Vice President of the Board of Deputies, and they will light the second candle. Omer Kanat, Executive Director of the Uyghur Human Rights Project, will be joined by Serena Oberstein, Executive Director of Jewish World Watch, who will light the third candle together. And finally, Dilnas Karim, Uyghur activist and representative of the Uyghur UK community, will be joined by Rabbi Jonathan Wittenberg, Senior Rabbi for Masorti Judaism, who will light the fourth candle together. Each Jewish Uyghur couple will light spiritually light one of the candles and share with us their message of hope and friendship. So 𝐷𝐚𝐬𝐿, please.
Thank you, Mia. Should I first light?
At the end, we will light all the candles.
Okay, first talk, okay. Thank you. Happy Hanukkah to everyone. May this festival bring happiness to all of your life. Hanukkah is not just a festival of lights. May it also be a festival of hope, happiness, love, and health. The words "Never Again" voiced by founder of the United Nations in 1945 and embodied in the subsequent Universal Declaration of Human Rights, signified moral commitment to the prevent atrocity like shows from happening again. Over the past 4 years, however, we have seen a genocide unfold against the Uyghurs in their homeland, East Turkestan. What is happening to the Uyghur people today highlighted the importance of the celebrating human rights, for they still cannot be taken for granted everywhere. In our efforts to end suffering of our people, support of the Jewish community has been of great importance to us. The many messages of solidarity we have received strengthen us and give us hope in our pursuit to give justice to the victim of the Uyghur genocide. Although shared experience brings our people close together, we need to act today to end the Uyghur genocide. Hope, solidarity, and justice symbolized by the festival of Hanukkah can provide cornerstone of collaboration to ensure that it is indeed never again. Wishing you all a warm and wonderful holiday. May you have blessed Hanukkah and New Year's.
Thank you, Dalkin. Bini?
Thank you, Mia, and thank you so much for bringing us together to this really wonderful event. Really, it's an honor to be here. The writer and Shoah survivor Elie Wiesel once said, "We must take sides, because neutrality helps the oppressor, never the victim. Silence encourages the tormentor, never the tormented." And when it comes to the plight of the Uyghurs, our history teaches us that we have no choice but to take sides and to be as loud as we can in the face of genocide. And for this reason, young Jews all over Europe and actually all over the world are saying never again right now. But currently, we are celebrating Hanukkah, the Jewish festival of light. In 167 BCE, the Greeks extended the program of forced Hellenization on the Jewish people, desecrating their holy sites and forbidding the practice of Judaism. But against all the odds, the Maccabees struggled for the right to practice Judaism and succeeded, culminating in the rededication of the Jewish temple. Within, they found enough oil to light the menorah for only one night. Miraculously though, it burned for 8. And this is the miracle we are celebrating at Hanukkah, the perseverance of a culture against all odds, the miracle of light. And right now, it is Uyghur lives and the Uyghur culture that are under threat. And both our recent and our distant history make it central that we, the Jewish people, stand hand in hand with the Uyghurs. We have stood alone too often, but we will ensure that other persecuted groups don't suffer the same fate. For that reason, Jewish students all over the world on Human Rights Day on December 10, this year, the first day of Hanukkah, engaged in a global action day. In 30 cities around the globe, activists plastered one of the 30 articles of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights in front of Chinese embassies, forcing Chinese officials to step on them, showing how China tramples human rights every day. At the same time, we, alongside many others, including actually most of the organizations that are here today, called on the UN to finally act against China's crimes. The light of Hanukkah, the history of Hanukkah shows that even in the darkest times, there's still hope, there is still light. And this Hanukkah, as Jews, we remember the atrocities committed against our people, but we also stand in solidarity with our Uyghur brothers and sisters. So this Hanukkah, let's make sure that we can shine a light on human rights, and let's make sure that the world finally acts, because never again is right now.
Thank you, Bini. Thank you very much. Rahima?
Thank you very much. And it's very moving. I feel this power already. So tonight I light a candle for the festival of Hanukkah, the genocide that nearly happened. The Greeks tried to wipe out your religion and culture as the Chinese government tries to wipe out ours. The Greeks made you eat pork as the Chinese government forced us Uyghur Muslims to eat pork and drink alcohol. As the Greeks discredited your temple, the Chinese government desecrates our mosques and burial grounds. You fought against the Greeks and won your freedom. Now you are fighting for us and our freedom. This candle burns as a symbol of light and hope that just as you won your liberation, we will win ours. With God's help and that of our Jewish and non-Jewish friends around the world. Hanukkah Sameach. Happy Hanukkah.
Thank you, Rahima. Edwin?
First of all, thank you so much, Mia and Rene Cassin, for giving us this opportunity to be together with our sisters and brothers. I first met Rahima in 2019, and I was struck, as I'm sure all of those who listen to her today, struck by her dignity and by her eloquence. And that eloquence is not just by words. Rahima is a regular guest on our Shabbat table, and she serenades us with the most moving of songs that touches the core of our hearts as we all get in touch with our roots and with the homes we left and we cannot get back to. So I am particularly privileged to share the second candle of Hanukkah with Rahima. I'm lighting it here. I'm bringing light into a dark world to share with her and with her people our support. I want to, we are lucky as Jewish people today that we have the freedom across the world, not only to light our menorahs, but to actually put them on the window. And please God, we will see soon the same with our Uyghur brothers and sisters. I want to quote just aptly from Lord Jonathan Sacks of blessed memory, who was the first global faith leader to twin the cause of the Uyghurs with the Jewish cause. And he talks about Hanukkah, and he says, it was, as we say in our prayers, a victory of the few over the many, the weak over the strong. It is summed up in wonderful line from the prophet Zechariah, not by might, not by strength, but my spirit, says the Lord. The Maccabees had neither might nor strength, neither weapons nor numbers, but they had a double portion of the spirit that longs for freedom and is prepared to fight for it. Never believe that a handful of dedicated people cannot change the world. Inspired by faith, they can. The Maccabees did it then, so can we today. Chag Sameach.
Thank you very much, Edwin. Chag Sameach. Omer, all the way from the US.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Good evening. Assalamu alaikum and shalom. I'm very happy to be here with you today for today's Festival of Lights. It's very meaningful for Uyghurs to celebrate the courage of the Jewish people in the face of the actions of the Greek Empire to crush them as a people. As Rahima also indicated, today China's Xi Jinping is trying to destroy the Uyghur culture, Uyghur identity, tradition, and faith. Like the Uyghurs today, Jewish people saw their sacred worship places desecrated and demolished. Like Uyghurs today, those who refused to assimilate faced torture and death. The Jewish people suffered terrible losses, but a small band of the Jews fought to keep their culture and tradition alive. And in the end, they could not be completely defeated. To celebrate this miracle against all odds gives hope to us. Uyghurs can take inspiration from the Jewish people who fought to survive as a people 2,000 years ago. And the Jewish people survived even the Holocaust 75 years ago. Uyghurs will continue to fight for their survival. Today we take hope that our children and our children's children will be able to live in freedom in their homeland and celebrate their Uyghur identity, tradition, culture, and faith. Thank you.
Thank you, Omer. Amen. Inshallah. Serena.
Thank you so much, Mia and Rene Cassin, for all the incredible work that you're doing to raise awareness for so many human rights abuses, and especially shifting the moral conscience of the people in the UK to address the genocidal atrocities of the Uyghur people. I'm so honored to be here lighting this candle with Omer. Rooted in our own history of persecution, Jewish tradition and values, Jewish World Watch was founded in 2004 to combat the silence and inaction during the genocide in Darfur. 16 years later, genocide and mass atrocity are still rampant, and we cannot be complicit. On the contrary, we are obligated to educate and advocate to end genocide once and for all. We're here today to raise our voices against the grave human rights abuses of the Uyghur people in East Turkestan at the hands of the Chinese government. Tonight, we light the Hannukah to commemorate the fourth night of Hanukkah. When it is the darkest time of night, we create light and shine it outward into the world. It is a holiday in which the Jewish people fought for our own religious freedom, the right to practice our faith and teach our children our traditions and values. Unfortunately, the horror stories we're hearing about the Uyghur people being taken in the night, having their heads shaved, put on trains, and interned, forced into slave labor, and systematically murdered are all too familiar to the Jewish community. We could not be silent. We must hold the Chinese government accountable, and the US and all of us must be a moral compass for the rest of the world. I and Jewish World Watch are here to stand in solidarity with the Uyghur people, to amplify our voices together, and to create light together where there is immense darkness. Thank you.
Thank you, Serena. Dilnaz, who I had the pleasure of sharing a platform this weekend already.
Hey everyone, Hannukah Sameach. It's a wonderful feeling to see and know that the wonderful Jewish people are helping us to stand against this horrible issues that's happening in East Turkestan. So it's an honor to celebrate this Hanukkah with you amazing people. So my wish is that I wish one day all the people around the world will be in peace and not go through what the Jewish people went through in the Holocaust and what we Uyghur people are going through today. And I hope that one day we will be able to get our freedom, go back to our country and put our flag on our world, on our land without any pressure. So Hanukkah Sameach.
Thank you, Dilnaz. And Rabbi Jonathan Rittenberg.
Thank you. Very, very moved by what I've heard. My grandfather and members of my father's family on the other side, both, they spent time in concentration camps. But I have still no idea what such a terrible experience may be like. But I wonder if the way we understand the Maccabees can bring strength. I imagine them returning to the ruined temple, a wreckage, piles of stones and broken, a once holy place. And yet they didn't give up. They searched and searched until they found what could give light, just one jar of oil. So sometimes inside our human spirit, we have to search and search in our heart amidst the temptation to despair until we find the place of hope. And sometimes in our world, we have to search until we find each other in solidarity like now, till we find the place of connection and solidarity and hope. When the Maccabees have found that, they didn't say, oh, one jar is too little, we can't do anything with it. They said, we'll light it and we'll see. And as we know from the miracle story, it burnt far longer than they had thought. And I think when we're together, when we find hope, when we give each other courage, it always burns far longer than we think, because one person inspires another. And that person's courage and light bring light to others. And so it spreads. And in this way, may our determination, our solidarity, our connection with each other, may it spread, may it maintain hope, may it bring hope where there's despair, and may it bring light for the future. I'm going to light the shamas candles and say a slightly altered version of the traditional blessings as we light. Baruch atah Adonai, blessed are you, God, who commanded us to light the Hanukkah candles and to do our best to bring light to one another. Baruch atah Adonai, blessed are you, God, who made miracles for our ancestors and inspires us to have courage and strength today. Thank you, Mia and Rene Cassin, for bringing us together. And I hope many people here already know each other. But this will be a strong, standing partnership between us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rabbi Wittenberg. It's more than a partnership. It's the beginning of a wonderful friendship. A friendship between us as individuals and between us as people. And I only wish that if it weren't for the pandemic and it weren't for the fact that we're representing our people from different corners around the world, we could then sit together and share a nice plate of latkes and traditional donuts, and of course a glass of wine, and bless ourselves and our people with messages of hope. We have with us here Danny Silverstone, Rene Cassin's chair. And Danny, if you would like to say a final few words.
Well, thank you, Mia. And really, there's very little I can add to the wonderful testimonies we've heard from everybody. I want to welcome you to this incredibly moving event. Looking back over the last year, I think I'm enormously proud, and this is very much Mia's initiative, the amount of work that Rene Cassin have been doing in the last year, particularly to show solidarity with the Uyghur community in this country, and also to bring the experiences of Uyghur people in China to the attention of the UK authorities. I think in a way this is the most important contribution we've made to human rights this year. And I'm so glad to be able to join you all on this wonderful event. I think all the other things I thought about saying have been said much better by all of you, but I'm really glad to have the opportunity of being with you today. As Mia said, hopefully we'll have the opportunity to do this in a rather different way next year. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, new friends. Thank you to Hopefulness. And in the spirit of Rene Cassin's messaging in the last 9 months, I guess, of this pandemic, I want to wish us all to stay helpful, stay hopeful, and most importantly, to stay human. Chag Sameach, everyone, and thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening.